Did you know the Young Turks have 18 different shows? Become a TYT member and get all of them. Click the link in the description box below.
Today, the Wall Street Journal reported that Donald Trump might have been a little bit more involved in those hush money payments to his mistresses than he has persistently said over the past year or so. The Wall Street Journal found that Mr. Trump was involved in or briefed on nearly every step of those agreements. He directed deals in phone calls and meetings with his self-described fixer, Michael Cohen, and others. The US Attorney's Office in Manhattan has gathered evidence of Mr. Trump's participation in the transactions as well. So it's not just the media, the people actually investigating him have documented evidence of him having lied about being involved in things that are theoretically campaign finance violations. And to give you an idea of what he has previously said, in an October 23rd interview with the Wall Street Journal, Mr. Trump declined to address whether he had ever discussed payments with Michael Cohen during the campaign. Trump said nobody cares about that. And he described Mr. Cohen as a public relations person who represented me on very small things. And maybe some of the women were short, I don't know. But that's what he always does. As soon as they flip, as soon as they go down, suddenly they're coffee boys. This guy really likes coffee, he was surrounded by them. Now we've got more information. Back when Michael Cohen pled guilty back in October to campaign finance violations, prosecutors filed a 22-page charging document asserting that Mr. Cohen's quote, coordinated with one or more members of that campaign, including through meetings and phone calls about the fact, nature, and timing of the payments. That unnamed campaign member or members referred to Mr. Trump, according to people familiar with the document. We suspected that at the time. It has now been confirmed that was with Donald Trump. And Michael Cohen has also described to prosecutors his discussions with Mr. Trump and a Trump organization executive about how to pay Mrs. Clifford, that is Stormy Daniels, without leaving the candidate's fingerprints on the deal.
Okay, so this is super important. Number one, he clearly did it, and the prosecutors have that information. I'm gonna give you a little bit more details in a second. Number two, that's federal law that he broke, clear impeachable offense. So that leads to the question of what are they going to do about it? So, the House is not controlled by the Democrats, but they swear up and down they won't impeach him. What a bizarre claim that Pelosi says. Like, what, doesn't it depend? Like, if you said to me, I'm not going to impeach him based on the fact that I don't like him politically, I'd say, oh, good. I wouldn't want you to impeach him because you don't like him politically. That's not what impeachment's for. If you said to me, I'm not going to impeach him without seeing the evidence, oh, good, great. I don't want you to do it blindly. That's weird. What would you impeach him on, right? But if you say I won't impeach him even if he clearly violated the law, well, that's weird. And then of course, if the Democrats do that, what will the Senate do? Will they just say, no, it's okay, the president can break the law? He clearly broke the law here. So let me explain why I think that, why the Wall Street Journal clearly proves it, and how this all started. All the string got unraveled. Remember, Michael Cohen's his fixer. He said he would take a bullet for him and then flipped on him. Why did he flip on him? David Pecker was a great friend of his, had been buying and spiking stories for Donald Trump since the 1990s. David Pecker flipped on him. Why did they flip? Because they got Cohen's documents. And in the documents, Cohen kept the record of Pecker, the guy from the National Enquirer, saying, hey, look, I'm gonna give $150,000 to McDougal to bury the story of how she had an affair with Donald Trump. You have to pay me that $150,000 back later. Later, they realized, oops, if we do that, that is clearly a federal crime because I'm giving an in-kind contribution over $2,700 to a candidate, and it's clearly for a political purpose because then Trump is going to pay me back.
Yeah.
In the McDougal contract, the National Enquirer pretended that it was for business reasons, that they were going to have her on the cover, that she was going to write columns. They didn't ask her to write a single column even though she wanted to. They never had her on the cover. It was always for a political reason. When they realized, oops, if Trump pays us back, it'll be obvious we did it for the election and not because we wanted her to be a writer, right? So then he said to Cohen, burn the documents, get rid of the documents, I'll just eat the $150,000. That's what David Pecker said. Except Cohen didn't burn the documents. So when investigators went into his house and his apartment, they found it, a clear document saying Trump will pay back Pecker for burying the mistress story after the election. Oops, federal crime. So Cohen is caught red-handed and he goes, yeah, we did it. They go to Pecker, they say, we got the documents, and Cohen said you did it, and Pecker goes, yep, we did it. Those are two of Trump's top guys. Trump was named as an basically unindicted co-conspirator, an unnamed co-conspirator by federal authorities when they charged Michael Cohen, and he pled guilty to that federal crime. So now we know, because of this new Wall Street Journal story, for a fact, before it was clear, but now we know for a fact that it was Trump who coordinated the entire thing. In this story, he has personal meetings, phone calls, which Michael Cohen recorded, saying about how they're gonna pay Pecker back for the story. Clear violation of campaign finance laws. They have him on tape, they have the documents, and they have the two guys who flipped on him. It's over, he did it. There's no question about it. The only question that remains is, will they impeach or won't they impeach?
You wanna bet?
No, I don't. and let me also clarify this. This is also very important. In order for them to, if they went to trial, in order to convict Trump, they'd have to get two things to be clear. But that both the McDougal and the Stormy Daniels payments were about the election. Because John Edwards got away with a very similar thing, and he's a Democrat, because he said, no, I was paying them to cover up about my wife, not for the purpose of the election. So it wasn't an in-kind contribution because it wasn't about the election, it was because I was embarrassed for my wife, okay? Now, in this case though, Pecker saying Trump is gonna pay me back because of the election, and then panicking and changing his mind and saying, oh, no, don't pay me back, otherwise it's clearly illegal. But they have the document showing that they originally agreed, and Trump himself agreed to pay him back because it was about the election. So good night, Irene, that's part one. Part two is they have to show that he willfully skirted the law. Not that, hey, I didn't know, etc. But Cohen's on tape, we've run those tapes for you before because they were released earlier. He's asking Trump, should we transfer the money to David Pecker to pay off McDougal? And Trump says yes. He willfully directs Michael Cohen. Clearly, it's not an accident. It's not, I thought I was paying Michael Cohen for an amusement park and instead I got an in-kind contribution or a cover-up, etc. They have him on tape willfully doing it.
Well, I think that the following part of the tape gets more to the willfulness because he tells him to do it there. In terms of whether he knows that he's telling him to break a law, he says something, do it this way, not the other way, because he knows one is easier to track. That implies that he knows they might be tracking it.
Exactly, it was about cash versus check.
Yes.
They had David Pecker buy the story for the National Enquirer in the first place because they thought that it'll be harder to track and they won't get caught doing the illegal thing. Yeah. Furthermore, on the Stormy Daniels, remember they used fake names because they didn't want Trump to get caught. That also shows willful intent to evade the law.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, they got him. So this is totally an impeachable offense. By the way, people go to jail for this. You know who went to jail for it? Dinesh D'Souza. He broke a very similar campaign finance law about in-kind contributions, or it was a direct contribution in his case. He lied about it, showed willful intent. They convicted him. By the way, who's one of the people that Donald Trump pardoned? Dinesh D'Souza, because he knows he did the same thing. So it's just a matter of time now. I'm not saying it's a matter of time before they take him out of office, but it's a matter of time before this becomes an absolute decision point for the country. Do we allow presidents to break the law or don't we? So, tick, 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 tick. Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.